Okay. Thank you for that, Miss Ashley. Mr. Linville, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay, I'm here relaxing.
Yes, sir. Hey, well, we opened our eyes this morning, Mr. Linville, so that's a win, right?
Oh yeah, we gotta give thanks for that.
Yes, sir. How was your Memorial Day? Did you have a good one?
Oh yeah, have a nice day. It was okay.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, Mr. Linville, first off, sir, it is a pleasure to meet you. I just want to go ahead
Yes,
and
sir.
introduce myself. My name is Joshua.
Okay. Hmm.
My last name is
Mine is
Crib, like a
okay.
baby crib with an extra B at the end.
Yes.
And I am a senior
Okay.
benefits coordinator here at Senior Life Services. And I'm going to be here to help you and Ms. Ashlyn out the rest of the way today and seeing what we can do for you, okay?
No. Okay.
All right. So Ms. Ashlyn has done a phenomenal job of taking notes and filling me in on everything that you have going on. So I have your
Mhm.
daughters listed as our beneficiaries. So they are going to be kind of
Yes.
taking care of everything. God forbid, you know, something happens
Oh
to you,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
How many daughters do you have, Mr. Linville?
I had two.
Okay. Okay.
They
Any?
they both they both grown and up. Have them kids and everything. They're okay.
Okay. So you have grandbabies then, is that right?
No, I got grandma and grandwoman.
So even your grandbabies have grown up.
They're all grown up. Oh yeah.
Yes,
I had
sir.
9 grandkids.
Okay. Nine
Yep.
grandkids. Any great grandkids?
One. One.
One.
Just one.
One great.
Yep.
Do you get to see your grandkids and your great grandkid often or no?
Not that often, but the father bring him around when they have time. They bring him around.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
see him. It's a boy. Yep.
It's a boy.
In daycare right now.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. And then
But
Miss Ashlyn,
all my grandkids they working.
they are all working. Okay. All right.
Yes.
And Miss Ashlyn had mentioned that you currently have 30,000 through New York
Yes.
Life.
Oh yeah.
So that is a decent amount of coverage, Mr. Linville. Did you get that recently, or have you had that a little while?
I had that a little while.
Would
Mhm.
you say over 5 years or under 5 years?
Over 5 years.
Okay. So, New York Life is also they underwrite for Globe Life, right? Or no, I'm sorry, AARP. When you signed up with them, did
AR,
you
A,
sign up with
A,
AARP or did you sign up with New York Life directly?
ARB.
Okay. So that policy, 9 out of 10 times, is what's called a renewable term. Typically, with that policy, it usually has an expiration date of 85 or 90 years old. Let me ask you this. When you bought the policy originally, do you remember what your payments were when you first bought the policy? And you don't have to tell me what it was, but do you remember what that payment was when you first bought it?
Yes.
Okay. Is that
Um,
different than what you're paying today?
oh no, it's not. This policy, it don't, it don't go down. This policy is still like it is. It's, it don't reduce, not nothing. This is whole life. And them say I'm quite comfortable with it. That's whole life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the reason I asked that, Mr. Linville, is because I've been doing this for quite a while. Typically, and in my years of doing this, one thing that I have noticed is when people usually sign up through AARP, New York Life is
Mm-hmm.
the underwriter for them. Almost every time it's what's called a renewable term, and it's sold very
Mm-hmm.
similar to a whole life policy. Now,
Yeah.
I'm never right 100% of the time. I'm very aware of that because my wife reminds me of it, right? So I
Okay.
just want to make sure. So when you originally, do you mind if I ask how much that 30,000 is running you per month, Mr. Linville?
All right. Now it's running me two 212 dollars a month.
205.
200
Okay.
212 some cents.
212.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you got it? Do you remember about how old you were when you originally got that coverage?
I don't remember, but I was a grown up. I was grown man.
uh, do you think it was 10 years ago? You think it was that long ago?
It might be about that. It might be
About 10
about
years.
that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you've been paying 212 a month for the last 10 years.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. And it's never went down, never went up. It stayed the same, right?
It's still the same.
Perfect. Okay. And then you want a traditional burial, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know, a lot of people nowadays are actually leaning towards a traditional burial. I think a lot of people don't want to be cremated. See, about 3 years ago during COVID, everybody wanted to be cremated. Everybody I spoke
Yes.
to, cremation, cremation,
Yes.
cremation. But it seems like it's going back to normal where everybody wants a funeral nowadays. Have you had an
Yeah.
opportunity to see how much a funeral is in Groveland right now or no?
No, I really don't see it, but it's no, it's a good decent amount. It's up there because I went to a lot of funerals. I had lots couple of friends pass by and all that, so and I hear them talk. The funeral is up, so
Yes, sir. Well,
I
first off,
just
I'm
go
sorry to
along with
hear
them.
about your friends. Yes, sir. Well, I'm up
Yeah.
here by Daytona Beach. Do you know where Daytona Beach,
Uh,
Florida is?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So my
I've been
cousin
to
passed
Daytona lots
away.
of time.
Yes, sir. Okay. What for the Daytona 500? What'd you come up on my neck of the woods for?
I've been to Daytona lots of time. I work up there when I used to work. I work. I come to beach. I do all kind of stuff in Daytona. Yeah,
Have you ever been to Bike
I've
Week?
been. Oh yeah, yeah, oh, yes.
I knew
I've
you
been
were a
all over
partier.
the. I've been all over Daytona.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down, Mr. Linville.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
So up here, it's about 15,000 for a burial. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So it's probably pretty close in Groveland. So right now,
Oh, oh,
15,000.
oh yeah.
So your 30,000 is enough to cover that and then some, right? So, but one thing that you do want to plan for is the future, because you're only 79. You are in good shape health-wise, right? So
Yes,
if you
yes.
live another 10 years, if it costs 15,000 today, it's not going to be the same 15,000 10 years from now, right? It'll probably be
No,
closer
it
to
won't.
18 to 20. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
That'll leave your family with about 10,000 extra. That's about 5,000 for each of your daughters, which is a decent amount of money,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? How would it feel
Yes, sir.
if you could leave a little bit of extra money behind for your great grandchild and possibly great grandchildren by the time you pass, if you could leave them $1,000 or $2,000 a piece, how would it feel to be able to do that for them? Is that something that you would like to do?
That would feel good. That would feel good.
Okay.
Yeah, that would
So,
feel good. But they told me not to worry about them because just about all of them have a good job right now. I got one of my grandson work for the government. He's a FBI. He just bought a house about 3 months ago in Washington. He live up there. Uh, they all have a good job. Them around, so they tell me not to worry about them. Just do my thing. And so they will take care. I said, well, that's good. They come and see me when they're ready. My daughter work at the airport up there in Philadelphia, and that's five of them mother. I got nine grandkids. One got five, one got four. Yes. Um, the five what my oldest daughter had, they all got a good job. They're working good. I don't have no grandbabies. I got grandman and woman. They all working. So they tell me don't worry about them. They're fine. So I say, okay, that's fine.
yeah,
I
well, I
just
can tell
worry
you this,
about.
they'll always say that, right? The kids are never going to go, unless they're greedy, they're never going to say, Dad, leave me extra money. I want your money, right? Kids will never say that. I know I would never say that to my mom. If my mom or dad
No,
asked
I
me, I would
wouldn't.
tell them, don't worry about me.
I
I'll
wouldn't
do
say
you
that.
okay.
I wouldn't say that either to my mom.
Yeah.
My
So
mom
they'll,
passed. My mom passed 25 years ago. Yeah, she passed 25 years ago. I went and put her away and came back. My mom was in Jamaica,
oh,
so I went there and put her away. Me and my brother and my sister put her down real good and came back.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well,
Yes,
I know your kids are at a spot where they're doing very well, right? Your grandkids are at a spot where they're doing very well. The one I
yes,
would
yes.
focus on is your great grandson. How old is your great grandson?
Oh, he's just a baby. He's just a
Okay.
baby. He's about 3, 4 years old now.
Okay.
He's just a baby.
So chances are, and I hate to be the morbid one, but chances are you're not going to be able to see him become a 30-year-old adult, right? I hope you do. I
Probably
hope you
not.
do, but
Probably
probably
not.
not,
I hope I
right?
do, but probably not.
Yes, sir. So if we could leave him, so what my great grandmother did for me is she left me with $1,500 when she passed. And I was 14 when
Oh,
my great grandmother passed. And what I used that
yeah.
money for
Okay.
is I actually used that money to buy my first car when I was 16, right?
Okay.
So if you
that
could leave your
that
great
was good.
grandson, 5,000 or 3,000 or 2,500, just a little bit of money to just help
Hmm.
him out when you're not there, that's something that would feel nice to be able to do. Agreed?
Yes, that would be nice. Yeah.
Okay. So, question
Yeah.
for you. Miss Ashland, she did a good job at taking notes. Now, she mentioned that you don't have diabetic neuropathy.
No. No.
Why did they give you gabapentin?
I really don't know. I really don't know. I really
So
don't know. That's
gabapentin is only ever used for a couple different reasons. It's used for seizures. Do you ever have seizures?
oh no, never.
Okay. It's used with diabetes to help out with the numbing and burning and tingling in your hands and feet. Have you ever had numbness or burning in your hands or feet?
I had numbness every now and then in my hands. You know, they sometimes they numb and they feel like they're not on my body. Most of my finger, from my wrist out to my finger.
Yes,
So
sir.
probably that's why they give it to me. I don't know, but they never tell me.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's
that's probably
probably it.
why.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a company I'm going to recommend to you, Mr. Linville. The company I would recommend to you is called Pioneer Security Life.
Okay.
Okay. And just to make sure I'm
Okay.
understanding you correctly, you're doing very well for yourself. You're very well prepared. You already have 30,000, which is going to cover your
Mhm.
funeral. It's going to leave money behind for your kids. Really, the only thing
Yeah.
that you would really be interested in this doing is leaving a little bit of extra money behind for your great grandson. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
That makes perfect sense. So just so you know, all of our programs typically pay out within 48 hours of receiving a death certificate. That means within 2 days of
Okay.
your passing, this money would be put into an account for your great grandson. That way he could access it when he turns 18 to have that money to be able to take care of, a first car or get into college, whatever he wanted to use that money for, he would have that money available, okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, what I'm looking at is a whole life policy. Whole life policy means that your rates will never go up, your benefit amount will never go down,
Mhm.
and it'll never expire on you. It stays with you your whole life, which is what you want, isn't it?
Yes. I think that's what I had. It will never go up, nor go down.
I would
Never
love,
expire.
let me ask you, do you have your policy there at the house with you from New York Life by any chance?
Uh, I don't think I have it with me, and if I even have it with me, I couldn't find it because I have two bad eyes right now. I was telling the
Oh.
young lady, say, I can't see to do nothing. I can't see
Mm,
to write down nothing, because I did surgery on one of on my right eyes a couple of months ago, and the other eyes just, good. I can't see to write nothing. I was telling her that, you know.
do you have anybody there that's been helping you while you've been recovering?
Uh, I got a guy still here, but he not here now. He at work,
Oh, but
and
he
he
usually
don't
helps
really.
you.
No, sometime I got a cousin will come by sometime and help me out. But she live in Orlando. I live in Groveland. She live in Orlando.
Okay.
So she only come by every now and then. So I really don't have nobody here now to help me do nothing right now. Because I can go around, I can do things, walk around, do things, but like the seeing, writing and all those, I can't do it. I can't do it. So
Yes, sir.
anything they have to come and do it.
Well, I feel like this is super important, Mr. Linval, and I
Hmm.
want you to be able to write down the information that I'm going over with you, and I want you to be able to ask questions based on your notes, and I want you to have everything handy. You had your surgery for the cataracts how long ago?
It's about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's healing very slow.
You're not lying. My
Very
grandmother had
slow.
cataracts and it healed within a week.
Yeah. Ooh, cataract. Had it healed within a week.
Yeah, well, my
I
grandma used
would,
to
I
wear
would,
thick glasses. I mean, thick glasses. And
you
it
know,
healed.
I see, I see a friend of mine, he passed now, but he did have a glasses what he wear. That thing was almost a inch thick.
Yes, that was my
What he
grandmother.
used to, what he
Yeah,
used to wear. They
yes,
don't
my
give me that
grandmother.
glass to wear.
Yeah. But I'm telling you,
Yeah,
she healed very, very quickly. I guess
well,
everybody's
that
different,
was,
but I can't believe, you're
yes,
on 5 months. That's crazy.
yep, yep. And I
So
don't
how
know
do,
when it's gonna heal.
how do you read like your mail and stuff like that?
I had somebody do that for me. I can't do none of that because I can't see.
Wow.
I just barely glimpse. I just barely glimpse.
Okay.
I can't do it.
Question, because I want you to be able to have somebody there to write this down and just have somebody a part of this. When will somebody be there with you?
Ooh, that I can't tell you. They come every now and then. A guy still here with me, but he had work. He had work right now. I don't know when he will get here. He working. Yeah, nobody ever here with me. I must be here by myself at all times.
Okay.
You know.
Well,
So
let me go over this with you, and then if you have any questions, do not be afraid to ask me to repeat myself, okay?
okay, okay.
All right. So what I'm going to be looking at is the standard plan, okay? What that means is,
Mhm.
God forbid, if you were to pass away of a natural cause within the first 2 years, every single dollar
Mhm.
you paid into your account plus an extra 10% will go to your beneficiary, okay, which is going to be your
Yeah.
great-grandchild, okay?
Yeah.
On top of that, if you pass of an accident, it is the full death benefit. Now, if you are ever diagnosed with a terminal condition or a terminal disease, and a doctor tells you that you only have a year or less to live, Pioneer will actually write you a check while you are still alive, so you can actually make payment or make hand your grandson, your great grandson, cash while you're still alive. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look at 5,000. 5,000 to me and you, 5,000 is not a whole lot of money, right? Because
Mhm.
that barely covers us for 3 months of staying alive. Food, water, electric, everything, right? But
Yeah.
to a 16-year-old or to a 14-year-old or to an 18-year-old, 5,000, you
Okay.
feel like you're rich, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were 16? If you got handed $5,000, you would have felt like you were on top of the world. Am I right?
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna look at some smaller amounts here just to leave a little bit of extra. So 5,000, if you wanted to leave that much behind for your great grandchild, that would only be $110 a month.
Mhm.
I can look at
Yeah.
higher numbers and I can look at lower numbers. How do you feel about that one, Mr. Linville?
That's okay. I'll say that's okay.
You feel like that would be a nice amount to leave behind for him and help him out when you're gone?
Yes, that would be good. That would be
Okay.
good.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, Mr.
Yeah.
Linville, is I'm going to confirm some information with you, okay?
Okay.
Spell your first and last name for me and middle initial if you have one, please.
Yes, I do have a middle initial. E. Edwards. My first name is Linval. Spell Lynval. Linval. My last name Aldridge. Aldridge. That's Aldridge.
Okay.
Yeah. My middle initial is a E. Stands for Edward.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. And then who can we leave this money to that would make sure no matter what that your great grandson received it? Who do you trust the most to make sure he gets this money?
My daughter.
Okay.
I wouldn't even leave it to his father. I would leave
You feel like his father would spend it?
it would gone in a minute.
Oh geez. Well, let's leave it to your daughter then, and then we'll make sure. Is that Karen?
Yes,
Okay.
Karen. She's the only one I would leave anything to do anything.
To make sure it goes to the right people.
Yes,
Okay. And then what
yes.
address would you want your policy mailed to, Mr. Linval?
All right, we are live here, 117 Cabrera Drive, Groveland, Florida, 34736.
Okay. No apartment number?
No, it's a house, 117 Cabrera Drive,
And
Groveland,
Cabrella.
Florida.
Can you spell Cabrella
Yes.
for me?
Borllo. Cabrera
V.
Drive.
Okay. VOR.
LLO. Cabrera.
LLO.
Yeah, this is a house.
And you said that was 117, right?
Yes, 117.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then you're right there on the water then.
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful.
a big lake. A big lake down below me.
That's you're right next to Lake Palatka and then Lake Mineola, right?
Oh, Lake Minneola is further up, like you're going to Leesburg.
Oh, okay. Okay. But Lake Palatka is
Yeah.
by you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So I am northeast of you. So obviously the St. Johns River runs pretty much to every lake, right? So
Yes.
I'm up north of where you're at, off of like where Lake George is and Lake Monroe area.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And then your date of birth, Mr. Linval, is October 15th, 1946.
Yes. That's it.
Okay. Do you have a primary doctor?
Yes, I do.
And what is your doctor's
That's
name?
um what her name is again, man. What her name is again. Ooh, I miss her name sometime.
Do you know the name of the health clinic?
Excuse me?
Do you know the name of the health clinic?
The name of the health clinic?
Yes, sir.
It's down off Citrus Tower Boulevard. I can't remember the name of it, the address. Because not long time I've been going to that one.
Oh, I
It's down
gotcha.
off of Citrus Tower Boulevard, right there, 27.
Okay.
Hmm. was there.
We can come back to that if that's easier on you.
Excuse me?
We can come back to that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, all of our policies, Mr. Linville, are put on something called policy protection. Policy protection means that the insurance company will communicate directly with the bank for the premium payment. Policy protection means that in the event of a serious illness or an inability to make a manual payment, your policy won't be in danger of lapsing because the payment is made electronically. Now, once Pioneer receives their first payment, that is when the coverage starts. Best case scenario, Pioneer will accept payment within 24 hours. Worst case scenario, you may have to wait 72 hours for them to send in the payment, but leave the money in the account just in case, and I will stay on top of this on my side to make sure that your coverage gets started as soon as possible. And then, what is the name of the bank that you would want to use to schedule your payments with, Mr. Linville?
Now that's where I have a little problem with. The bank I had, they don't want me to give out my bank number. I tried twice, and they wouldn't allow me. I asked them to do it, and they wouldn't do it. They said no, they don't give out my bank policy, my bank number. They don't do that.
That is correct. So no bank will do that. So even if like my bank is Chase, Chase will not give it out, right?
That's who I'm with, Chase. That's who I'm with.
Okay, so I have Chase too. Chase will not give it out. That's a good thing.
No, they will not. They will not.
That is a good thing, though. That means nobody can call and get it, right? That's a good thing.
No, nobody can get it.
Correct. So it's the same for me. Let me ask you, though. Before the eye surgery, were you ever writing checks? Did you ever write checks?
I used to a long time ago, and we have to stop it. We stopped because they don't want me to write no check and send out the bank number. They will have to stop.
So how do you pay?
Well, now I'm going to tell you now how I get to pay my bills with check. I got a cousin who will take it over and pay it for me. So she writes her check. I'll send it out. That's how we have to do it. The check is not into my name. It's in her name, and she put my name to it. I'll send it out. All my payment will go for my insurance is not my check. That's how we have to do it because Chase will not. One of my cousins.
Oh,
my first cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She writes all my checks.
You give her cash?
Yes. I gave her cash.
And she writes check in her name?
Yes.
Gotcha.
In her name. Yeah.
You're a very smart man, Mr. Linville. So you work around the system.
Thank you. Because Chase will not. Chase don't want it to go out. I'm glad you're with Chase, so you know about it when I'm telling you.
Yeah, I am. I've had Chase for a while. Chase is awesome. They're a little strict, but they're very good.
Yeah, they're good. They're very good. They're very good. I'm with them a long time.
Yes.
I'm with Chase a long time.
I've been with Chase for a while myself as well. Now, let me ask you this. How do you check your balance with Chase?
Oh, if I call them and ask them for a check-in, they'll tell me what my balance is. If I
Okay.
go and draw money, if I draw money, they'll give me the balance.
Balance. Okay. So how do we
Yeah,
set this up for the payments? How do we go
that's
about
what
doing that for you?
that's what I want to know too. Well, anyway, I have to talk to my daughter about this first. Anyway, because they don't want me to do nothing, so I have to talk to them.
Well, we already know
One
that
of
they're
them.
not. They're gonna tell you no, don't worry about it, right? But this is something
Yes.
that you want to do, right? It doesn't matter what they
Yeah.
say. This is something that you want to do for your
Mhm.
great grandchild. So
Mhm.
I know that they don't want
Yep.
you to, but like I said, they're never gonna come to you and say, "Yeah, Dad, leave us extra money." That would sound selfish, you know. Nobody would ever do that.
Yep.
So it
Yep.
sounds like we would want to speak to your cousin because your cousin is the one that helps you with your finances,
Yeah. Yep.
right? How
But
obviously
I got
you have to see your cousin pretty often, I would imagine, because they help you pay the bills every month.
yes every month.
So when do
But
you typically see your cousin?
I have to talk to my daughter first, and then go to my cousin. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Okay.
my daughter up there in Philadelphia. My daughter in Philadelphia, and my cousin in Orlando. I'm in Groveland. So
So does your
I'll
cousin drive down to Groveland every month to pay your bills?
no, no. Sometimes I just call her and tell her, she know how it goes. She know what to do. Yeah. Sometimes she come down here. Sometimes I go up there. I had somebody take me to our house. And sometimes she send her husband for me. And I just went to her house and we sit there and go over everything.
Okay.
You know.
Let me ask you
That's
this,
all we have
Mr.
to do.
Limbaugh. If your daughter tells you no, is that the final decision for you?
Well, that's her grandson. And if she said no, ain't nothing I can do. That's her grandson. That's our first child, our first son, first child.
Okay, so if
That's
she
our
says
first
no,
son.
that's final decision though. There's no way around that. That's not something that you would go
No.
ahead and do regardless because you want to.
I don't know. I might go over her. I don't know.
Come on, Mr. Linval, let's be honest. You're not gonna go over her.
I might. I don't know. I
Ah,
might. I might. I don't know yet.
uh,
Well, I have to talk to her.
when are you gonna
I have
talk
to
to your
talk to
daughter?
her. Today was Monday. I'll get to talk to her about Thursday. About Thursday when she off work. Thursday I can talk to her. I can call her and talk to her.
Okay, so I'll follow up with you on Friday.
Oh, okay. Do that.
Perfect. All right, let's talk on
Yeah.
Friday, okay? And then if she says no, tell her
Okay.
you're gonna do it anyways.
then, then she got to curse me out.
All right. All right, Mr. Linval. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I look forward to our conversation again, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Schedule a call back for Thursday. Let's see what happens. Going to do a closing training. So first off, I want everybody to put in the chat, what is your most common objection that you're getting in the close. I'm going to show you how to prevent it and how to overcome it. Most common objection that you get in your close. All right, I got Daphne and Nathan, John Lynn. In the close, John, Alla, and John. You guys are getting that in the close?
No, right at the
I
beginning.
thought you meant objection, period. Okay.
No, in the close. That's an easy objection to handle in the beginning. I'm talking about in the close.
But Josh, what if after you give them prices and they say, "Well, I already have a policy anyway, but yeah, I thank you for going over your prices."
My favorite one. If you're getting that, put that in there. That could be it. That's why I was asking in the close or in the intro. If you get that in the close, I'm going to show you guys how to overcome all these objections.
No, because that's why I had to bring it up because I did get that one time and I'm like, dang, so you dog walked me all the way to the end just to retell them, but okay.
Okay, so we're going to cover all of these objections. So number one is price. Okay, so if you're getting price a lot in your close, this is how you overcome that. So let's say I give you 50,000, 45,000, and 40,000. All right, I'm gonna role play with who said it, Nathan.
All right.
All right. So $50,000 in coverage, Mr. Nathan. This is gonna be enough to cover your funeral completely from start to finish for the rest of your life. This will also leave $35,000 behind for your son, which is a nice nest egg for him to fall back on if he ever needs it. If you wanted to leave him that much, that is only going to be $486 per month, okay? 45,000. This is going to be enough to cover your funeral completely from start to finish. This is also going to leave your son with about 30,000 extra dollars. If you wanted to leave him that much extra, that is only going to be $430 per month. And then for 40,000, this is going to be enough to cover your funeral completely for the rest of your life. This will also leave about $25,000 extra for your son. If you wanted to leave him that much, that is only going to be $380 per month. Out of those options, which option do you like the best to leave behind for your son when he needs it the most, Mr. Nathan?
No, none of them really. I live on a fixed income. I only get one check a month.
Now, listen to what I say here, guys. Completely understandable, Mr. Nathan. My grandmother is 74. She lives about 5 minutes away from me, and I help her out with her bills. And she's on a fixed income. She only gets paid once a month, so I know how difficult that can be. What did I just do right there?
Agreed.
Agreed.
And I related, right? I related to his issue, right? This is the important part right here. Let me ask you, Mr. Nathan, how far off are we? Would you like me to drop it by a lot or by a little?
A lot.
Listen to the words I said there. How far off are we? Would you like me to drop it by a lot or by a little?
A lot.
Absolutely. I can definitely do that for you, Mr. Nathan.
I use verbiage similar to that for that lady I closed yesterday.
Yes, sir. So, where am I going to go for price points from here? Am I going to drop it down to $320 for you a month, Nathan?
No,
No.
probably start with the 200s, maybe.
Maybe around like 180 to 160.
Okay.
Okay? So I would go absolutely. So Do me a favor, Mr. Nathan. I want you to write down 20,000. Okay. Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have an agreement on a price. Now it's talk it over with the son. So for those of you that have, hey, I need to talk it over with my husband or I need to talk it over with my kids, this is how you're going to overcome that. So, all right. So out of these options, Mr. Nathan, which option sounds the best to you to leave behind for your son when he needs it the most, and then redo that objection?
All right. That 140 sounds good, but I might need to talk it over with my son. Can I get back to you in a couple of days?
You absolutely can, Mr. Nathan. I can go ahead and set this appointment for a couple days from now without any issues at all. Let me ask you this. Obviously, you probably spoke to your son prior to actually looking into this to make sure that he knew what you were doing, right? When you spoke to him in the past, what was his opinion on it? How did he feel about you getting life insurance? What did he tell you?
Well, he told me I didn't need it.
Absolutely. And I knew you were going to say that, Mr. Nathan. Every child is going to say that to their parents. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Nobody
They don't
wants to
want
think
them to
about their
die.
parents passing.
Yeah.
That is not a conversation that your son wants to have. But even though he told you that you don't need it, something in your mind told you that you still want to do this, and that's why you had this conversation with me today. Am I right, Mr. Nathan?
That's right.
So even if your son said, heck no, Mom, I will cover it, you would still want to make sure that it's covered yourself because you feel like it's your responsibility. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So why don't we do this, Mr. Nathan? Let's get you enough to make sure that your son never has to come out of pocket because we already know what he's going to say. Mom, I don't want to think about you dying, or Dad, I don't want to think about you dying. I'll take care of it. We already know that that's his opinion. Let's make sure that when that day comes, he has the funds he needs to cover your final arrangements, where he's not struggling to come up with that money or borrowing it or having the embarrassing moment of asking for friends and family, okay? Do me a favor. Will you spell your first and last name for me, Mr. Nathan?
NATHANBERKLEY.
Okay. What did I do there, guys?
Moved into the
That
app.
was like a three-step process right there. Number
Just in
one,
the process of the sale.
He shifted right into the application.
so there was a three-step process that I want you guys to take away from that. Number one is I agreed with you. Yes, sir. I definitely can call you back in a couple of days. I'll lock that in right now. Did I not say? I said that, right? Very
Yes.
first thing. Made sure that they were aware that I can do what they're asking me to do. Yes, I will. Never say what you can't do. Always say what you can do. Following me, guys?
Yes.
Yes, I got you. I'll do that. No problem. Yes, yes, agree. Yes, okay? The very next thing is what I notice a lot of agents do is they try to sweep the objection under the rug. Meaning what they'll do is, well, let's just see if we can get you accepted. You know, all of our policies come with a 30-day free, and they go straight to the 30-day free look period without overcoming the objection first. Okay? All that does is, if I do that, what's going to happen when I ask for banking?
You're gonna get pissed.
You're going to get another objection, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get, hey, before we do that, I need to talk to my kids. But instead of doing that, what did I do to your objection? I faced it head on, right? What did your son say the last time you spoke with him? He told me I don't need it. I already knew you were going to say that, right? And I used the rebuttal, which is in the rebuttal link, to overcome that. Like, he's not going to want to talk about you dying, and every child is going to say, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it, because they want to take care of you for you taking care of them for so long, or that they don't want to think about you passing. Am I right? But you're still on the phone with me today knowing that's what he said, meaning that at the bottom of your heart or in the back of your mind, it has been eating away at you that you want to take care of this for him. Am I right? And now I'm facing that objection head on. And then the third step to that is, as soon as I overcome that objection, what do? I assume the sale.
Straight to
You
the app.
know, you know why a lot of agents don't get a sale? It's because they're scared to ask twice, right? They ask the first time, get an objection, overcome it, and then don't know how to ask again for the sale. Well, how I asked again is, go ahead and spell your first and last name for me, Mr. Nathan. We're starting this application. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You actually say we're starting the application?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this was asked before. I believe by Miss Olivia asked me this before. I say, let me gather some information for the application. I say that every time. And the reason that I say that is because I'm not into trickery, right? Which means that if they're not sure what we're doing or why I'm gathering this information, all I'm doing is prolonging the inevitable, which is when I get down to banking, I'm going to get an objection anyways. I want them fully clear on what we're doing. We are doing an application. Why do I want to do that right then and there? Because if there's another objection, I want it right here. I don't want it at the banking. Getting an objection at the banking, like, oh, let me think about it, that's a tougher objection than let me think about it for gathering their name. Follow me, guys? Because instead of getting that objection of let me think about it for the name, I can overcome that and then get their name. But if I overcome that at banking, then re-ask for banking, it makes it a little bit more difficult, right? So yeah, hey, I understand. Now do me a favor, go grab your checkbook, right? That's a harder thing to get into than, now do me a favor, spell your name. Following my logic there?
Yeah.
So I wanna face it head on, right there. Let's get everything out on the table because I'm about to sell you this policy. I'm not gonna prolong this process, get to the banking, and then not get the sale, and then be upset like, hey, I got all the way to banking with this person, when in reality you should have never even got first and last names. Okay? Great question though. So I'm addressing my objections head on. Don't be afraid of them. Get good at them. Okay? All right. So we covered price and talk to the kids. Talking to the husband or wife is a little bit different. This is a much harder objection to overcome than talking to the kids. The reason that I say that is because truly, unless they're not mentally stable, they don't need to talk to the kids. Everybody agree with that statement? Unless they're mentally unstable, then maybe. But if they're mentally stable, they don't have to talk to the kids, right? For the most part. Now, sometimes the kids will handle finances and stuff, but that should have been addressed earlier on in the call. Anyways, talking to a husband or spouse is a harder objection because that is a real objection. Most of the time, if I make a decision, I'm going to talk to my wife about it, right? If you're married, you probably would do the same for your significant other. Do we all agree on that?
If you want to stay married.
Exactly. So, there's a different approach to this. Absolutely. So I'm going to give you the prices again, Mr. Nathan, and I want you to say, I like it, but let me talk to my wife about it, see what she thinks. So out of those options, which option do you like the best?
Well, I like the second option, but I still need to talk it over with the old lady.
Absolutely, Mr. Nathan. I can tell you this, you don't stay happily married for 30 years without discussing things with the old lady, am I right?
Right about that.
Yes, sir. Which means that you probably had some sort of discussion with her prior to even looking into this, so you guys were on the same page, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, sir. Let me ask you, does your wife have life insurance on her life, Mr. Nathan?
She do.
Okay. So your wife at this moment has taken the necessary steps to make sure if she passes away, you're covered. All we're doing is returning that favor to make sure that if something happens to you, she's covered. Now let me ask you this. If God forbid you were to pass away and she lost your income today, Mr. Nathan, how difficult would it be for her to stay afloat off of just one income in the household?
It would be very difficult, but she told me that we already had a policy with New York Life.
All right. So you're actually a little bit ahead of the game here, right? Because you do already have a policy in place. Let me ask you this. That policy that you have, is that for the final expenses such as funeral, cremation, stuff like that? Or what is that policy designated for?
All I know is life insurance. All I know.
Okay. Do you know about how much it is?
I think she said about 15, 20,000 maybe.
Decent amount of coverage. Okay. So what this policy is going to do that other policy will not, Mr. Nathan, is this is going to be a supplemental income for your wife, right? As you mentioned, if you passed away today, it would be pretty difficult for her to stay afloat just off of one income. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
How would it feel to know that your wife is going to get an extra $1,000 a month for the next 15 months after you pass, so she can get some things paid off and get some bills, paid off to where her financial obligations are not as high every month? How would it feel to know that you took care of her like that after you're gone?
It would feel pretty good.
Okay. So let's do the 15,000. That's going to be enough to make sure that she has $1,000 a month for 15 months after you're gone, to make sure she's taken care of, to stay afloat with the bills. Do me a favor. I'm going to gather some information for the application. Spell your first and last name for me. And then hit me with talk. I still want to talk there.
Yeah, well, I still need to talk it over with my wife.
Completely understandable, Mr. Nathan. Let me ask you this. Usually when there's two people in a household, there's always one that handles the financing side. Always one. It's either you or your wife. Who logs in and pays the electric bill and the water bill and makes sure the mortgage is paid? Who does all of that? You or her?
Well, I make the bacon, she cook it.
I love that statement. So she's the one that handles all of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I asked you earlier, Mr. Nathan, if this was a decision that you could make on your own, right? You mentioned it is. I always ask that question for one reason. I like all parties involved so we can have a conversation as a family to make sure we're doing the best option for you. When I asked you that earlier, you did mention that this is a decision that you make on your own. What changed?
Well, when it comes to finance, stuff like that, happy wife, happy life. Even when she wrong, she right. So,
I agree with that. Let me ask you, have you ever known a woman to turn down money?
not never, unless you know something I don't.
I have never. Never in my life. So, do you think she's going to be opposed to you leaving her 15 grand?
Not at all.
Let's go ahead and do it, man. So go ahead and spell your first and last name for me.
NATHANBERKLEY.
Okay. Same scenario there, okay? Will this work every time? Absolutely not. It absolutely will not. There's nothing I'm going to teach you guys that's going to work every time. The goal is to get good enough at this to where more often than not it works, right? I need it 51% of the time to work. So what I did here is I addressed, first off, I agreed. Hey, I understand. I get it. Then I addressed his objection head on. Tried to close. It didn't work, right? He still wanted to talk to her. Everybody agree with that? I addressed it again head on. What did I do? I brought up earlier conversation to help close that deal. Notice how I called him out on, you mentioned that this was something that you could do on your own. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
I notice a lot of agents are scared, and I don't even know if it's scared or just forget that they had asked this question or don't bring it up. But we all ask if this is a decision that they can make on their own, do we not?
Yes.
Bring it back up, right? Bring it back up. If this client told me earlier on in the call that he goes to bingo or he goes fishing and he goes this and he goes that and all the time, I'm going to bring that back up. Let me ask you, do you have to ask your wife to go out on the boat on Saturday? No. Okay. And you probably spend $50 in bait because I'm a fisherman myself, so I know you got to spend money on bait. Am I right? Right. Okay. What's the difference between doing that for something that's a hobby versus doing something like this that's making sure that your wife is protected when you're gone? I'm going to bring back up earlier conversations, and I'm going to pull them to the close. Following me, guys?
Don't be afraid to bring up what was earlier said to help you close the deal because it is coming out of whose mouth? Their mouth. So if they're saying it, I'm going to use it. Okay? If they say it, I'm going to use it. All right. That is a harder objection to overcome than talk to the kids. I'm not going to lie to you. That is a more difficult one to do. That's how I would sort of handle that. I have another objection. Go ahead, Mr. Nathan.
All right. I don't like giving my banking out, so I don't know about this.
Okay. This is my favorite objection. This is my favorite one. Okay, and this is actually next up on our list. I don't want to give out my information. I completely understand, Mr. Nathan. I just need it for the application.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of people getting scammed and stuff, and when you call, your number came up as spam. So I don't know you.
Absolutely, Mr. Nathan. To be honest with you, though, man, if you thought I was a scammer, you would have hung up on me 45 minutes ago. Am I right?
Yeah, maybe so, maybe no. The
Well, I can
conversation
tell
was
you
good
this.
until you would start asking for my money.
How would you prefer to pay for this, Mr. Nathan? What would be your preferred payment method?
Well, I usually mail in a check.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you said that. At the bottom of your check, there's a bunch of numbers. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Every time you write a check, Mr. Nathan, you're giving somebody your routing and account number. So you feel safer putting that in the mail, having it touched by a mailman, having it touched by the insurance company, somebody random in office, somebody at the back office at the processing desk, somebody that's going to mail that check off to another division. You feel comfortable with your check being handled 4 or 5 times by random people that you've never spoke to before versus somebody that has taken the time to explain everything to you? Do you feel more comfortable like that or giving it to me one time and that's it? Which do you feel more comfortable with?
Well, I've been mailing checks and paying bills for 30 years, so
Completely understandable. Completely understandable. But do you follow my logic there as every time you write a check, you're providing with the routing and account number?
yeah, I guess so.
Okay. If you feel more comfortable writing a check, do me a favor. Go ahead and grab your checkbook. Let's go ahead and write out a check to Pioneer Security Life. Okay. Take a picture of it, send it to me, and I'll attach it to your application. Do you feel more comfortable like that?
I don't know.
Okay. So, checks are a great way to do business. I actually have quite a few clients that prefer mailing in checks. There's good and bad. Okay. The good is, like you said, you feel comfortable. You've been doing it for 30 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Here's the bad option. If you walked out tomorrow and you got into a car accident and you were in a coma, and you hadn't let anybody know yet that you had insurance, nobody's going to know to mail in a check, right?
That's true.
And you're not going to be able to mail in a check because you're in a bad position, agreed?
Yes, sir.
The reason that we set it up like this, Mr. Nathan, is for multiple different reasons. Number one, all of our calls are recorded for quality assurance. Your information is safer with me than it is at your own bank. Number two, God forbid if something were to happen to you, your payments will come out automatically on a set day every month, so you never worry about your policy lapsing on you, regardless if you're out of state, if you're in a coma, regardless what the situation is. Your payment will always be made, and that's when you need your coverage the most. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm ready for that number whenever you are.
I still don't know. Let me talk it over with my wife, and I'll see what we can do in the next couple of days.
Okay. I definitely think this is something that you should discuss with your wife. Let me ask you this. When you buy things at the grocery store, right, and you write that check, do you have to get permission from the wife first, or is that something that you do on your own because you need it?
I buy it on my own. Well, she writes the list out, but I pay for it.
Yes, sir. Now, when you hand that check to the person on the other side of the counter, that is a random person. You don't know them. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So the same trust that you put into your grocery clerk cashier is the same trust I'm asking for you today. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Nathan, but it's mainly a trust issue. Am I right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. I will not ask you for another piece of information until you feel 100% comfortable with me. I have a 3-step verification process to prove to you that I am a licensed agent and I have your best interest at heart. Very first thing we're going to do is call my back office. Bam, dialing them in. Not even waiting for a response. I am dialing the back office in. I'm speaking to somebody in back office. Hey, I got Mr. Nathan Berkeley on the line, a potential client. They want to verify I'm a writing agent. Go ahead, Mr. Nathan, ask them any questions that you want. Once that's done, I'm going to go, Mr. Nathan, do you feel comfortable enough yet, or would you like me to do the next step in this process? 9 out of 10 times after I call the back office, they're always like, no, I feel I just wanted to make sure, there's all these scammers out here. I just really wanted to make sure, man. You never be too careful. Let me know when you're ready. And they read it off fast. Okay? Almost every time. I'll call back office, get them on the line. Do not give them a chance to object. Start that ringing process, right? Because if somebody is willing to go to that lengths to prove themselves to you, right? Typically they're on the up and up. Does everybody agree with that? If somebody's willing to go to that lengths to go, hey, you're calling me a scammer, I won't ask you for another piece of information until you know for sure that I'm not. Okay? Dial them in, and that almost works almost every single time. Now, you do get the crazies that are like, you could just be calling your best friend, right? You could just be calling Mojo sitting next to you, and they could be answering. For those people, go hard in the paint. I say, Miss Jones, if you want to play what if, let's play what ifs. What if everything you gave me was a lie up until now? What if I'm not even a real person, I'm an AI bot talking to you? Like, if we're going to play what ifs, let's play what ifs. But don't what if everything that I'm doing to try to help you. Because if there was that many what ifs, the fact that you stayed on the phone with me for 45 minutes means that you're probably getting scammed more than you should. If you think I'm a scammer and you're on the phone with me for 45 minutes giving me all of your information. Right? Like, those people, it's time to go hard in the paint. Like, put them in their place. It is time for them to get a huge wake-up call. If I could reach through the phone, I'd reach through the phone, Miss Jones. Okay? But for somebody that's actually sound mind and is just like, hey, I'm nervous, which is a good feeling to have, right? I would almost think people were crazy that just give it to you willy-nilly more than I would somebody that's like, hey, I'm not sure, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I don't feel comfortable. I appreciate those people more because that's an honest feeling. But that's how I would overcome it. Miss Olivia, thank you.
Yeah, my question kind of goes back to the talk with the wife thing. So I've had this happen before. The husband was like pretty set on doing it. And then I'm like asking about his beneficiary, and he's like, oh, it's my wife, here she is, and like hands the phone over to her, and then she like just ends the deal because I haven't built an hour of rapport with her, and she doesn't think he needs it, blah blah blah, and then she hangs up. So, and at that point, like, do you rebuild all the rapport and start over with her, or what do you do?
So that's a very good question. Forrest had this issue the other day.
So did I.
There are 2 ways to handle that, and it all depends on the reaction of the spouse. Okay? Same thing with the kids when the kids grab the phone. Okay? It all depends on their reaction. If they get on the phone and they're like super aggressive, right? What are you trying to sell my mom? We don't need this, da 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 da. If they're super aggressive, you need to hit them with straight facts. Okay? And this is exactly what happened to Forrest. He sold the wife. The husband came over. What are you trying to sell my wife after an hour and a half phone call? This is how you handle that. Mr. Jones, Miss Jones, I've been on the phone with your husband for an hour and a half. Where have you been? Because I wanted you a part of this conversation, and your wife told me that they didn't need you. I would have loved to have you a part of this. I actually prefer to have all parties involved. Where have you been when she's been on the phone with me for an hour and a half? Oh, well, da-da-da-da-da, whatever they say, right? But you need to call them out on that. Because what aggravates me more than anything is a son or a daughter that picks up the phone and says, well, my mom has this, or my mom has that. She can't make decisions on her own. Like, Where the hell have you been with your mom on the phone with somebody? If my mom had anything mentally wrong with her and I go into the other room or I hear her talking in the other room or I see her on the phone, I'm going to go, who are you talking to? Right? Because I'm a sound mind person. You're not in the sound mind if you see your mom or dad on the phone and they're talking and you don't ask them who they're talking to at 5-10 minutes in. Agreed? So where have you been? I wanted you a part of this conversation, Miss Jones. I wanted you a part of this conversation, Mr. Jones. Your wife told me they don't need you. I asked. Right? Call them out. Now, if it's just like, hey, what is my mom trying to do here? Or, hey, what is my wife trying to do? Great question. I would almost re-go through it with them. I would say, so this is what we're looking at. Try to avoid final expense life insurance. I would just say, hey, I've been speaking with Miss, your wife, Miss Mary. She was looking into something to try to help you cover her final expenses. She's really adamant that she wants a funeral, and we know funeral costs have been going up recently, so she just wants to make sure she has enough. This is the information that she's provided so far, and I would almost go back through with them, build some rapport, go back over everything that you and the wife or you and the husband have talked about, right? And then get them to kind of be on the same page. That would be the way to do it if they just come on the phone kind of calmly and they just want to know information. So those would be the two ways I would go about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Do we talk with a certain person at the back office? I would just call the 811-772-218-2952 number, Rico, and press 1 for customer service. They're all in the back office. They're well aware of what we're doing when we say, hey, I have this client on the line. They just want to verify my credentials. They are trained in that. They're going to be like, yeah, no worries. Mr. Rico is a licensed agent with us. What information do you want to know? And the client may ask a question or may not. Typically, that's all they need is just to hear the music and hear the prompts and press the prompts, and typically they're good after that. But the second and third option, for those of you that need to go those extra steps, the second option is, Mr. Jones, I already provided you with my national producer number. Every single agent, no matter what they sell, life insurance, health insurance, car insurance, has a national producer number. That is what gives me the ability to write insurance in the United States for what I do. You already have that. That's my second form of verification. Number 3 is we're going to call the insurance company right now and speak to their licensing department and verify that I'm a writing agent with them. Start ringing them in. Oh, back office number. Okay, so we covered talk to the wife or husband, talk to the kids, we covered price, we covered need to think about it, right? What else? Is there anything else that I'm missing? Okay. Let me go over my finances. This is very similar to price, but it's more along the lines of a budget issue, right? Here's how you can handle that. And again, number one thing I do is I always like to relate. I can understand that, Miss Jones, getting paid once a month is not easy. So you definitely want to make sure whatever amount that we pick is an amount that you can afford every month. And I stole this line from Jennifer Walker. I heard her in Office say this. She said, let me just apologize for putting a number in front of you that you even have to think about. My job is to put numbers in front of you that you just know you could do every month, because that's the whole purpose of having this in place. Right? I apologize for putting a number in front of you that you even have to think about. Right? My job is to put numbers in front of you that you just know you could do no matter what. Notice I'm talking with my hands, my facial expressions. I want it to come out in my tonality, what I'm saying there. Okay? I'll say it one more time. I apologize for putting numbers in front of you that you even have to think about. My job is to put numbers in front of you that you just know you can do every month, because that is the whole purpose of even having this in place. Then I would go to my line. Let me ask you, how far off are we from a number looking like that? Would you like me to drop it by a lot or by a little? And if they hit me with it again, yeah, well, I like that number. That's what I need. I just need to really go over my finances and just see if it's doable. Going over finances is the biggest fraudulent statement I've ever heard in my life from somebody that's on a fixed income. They get the same amount every month for the last 10 damn years. They know how much money they have in their pocketbook when the month is over. Come on, guys, right? Am I wrong? If you got paid the same amount every month for the last 10 years, would you know how much money you have left over at the end of the month? Miss Jones, let me ask you. I want you to think back to your last 3 months. At the end of all last 3 months, if you would have added this into your budget, would you have been overdrawn? Would you have still had money left? Or would you have been zeroed out? How would you be? Like, if you had this amount come out over the last 3 months. Well, after the end of the month, I have $0 left over. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life as well, because if that was true, they wouldn't be talking to you, right? Follow me, guys. Follow my logic here. If you had to think in the last 3 months and you had this amount coming out, would you be over? Would you still have money left? How would you feel? Well, I would, most of the time, they're going to say, well, I don't have nothing left after the end of the month. Okay. This is where you got them, okay? Follow me here. This is where you catch them. If this was affordable, if you had the extra $120, if you had it, would you do it? If you had the extra money, would you do it? What are they going to say to that?
Yes.
Always. Right? If I had the extra money, I would, but I don't have the extra money. This is where you do something called a budget breakdown. Okay? I'm going to show you guys how to do this the proper way. This is called a budget breakdown. So first you go, if you had the extra money, would you do it? You had the extra 120. Well, yeah, I would, but I don't have that. I got this and this and this coming out, da 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 da, right? Let me ask you, about how much money do you bring in every month? About how much money do you bring in every month? Always say about. Nobody wants to tell you how much they make. Right? That's, for some reason, that's like a weird thing with people. They don't want to tell everybody else how much they make. I think it's kind of crazy, but unless it's a lot, yeah. So, about how much? Oh, well, I bring in about $1,400. Whatever they say. You're going to go through their budget with them. $1,400. And how much is rent, Miss Jones? That's $600. How much is water and electric? That's about $300. And how much is food every month? Oh, that's about $400. Do you get assistance like any food stamps? Yeah, you do $200. Okay, so about $200 out of pocket. How much for hygiene? About $100. Right, and I'm going to go through their budget with them and I'm going to break it down. Now, whenever you get to the end of this budget, you're going to notice one or two things. They either have a lot of money left over or they're broke. Right? Would I agree with that? When you get done with your budget breakdown, they're either going to have money left over or not. It's one of the two. It's not rocket science. They either have money or they don't. If they don't have money left over, move on the call. There's not much you can do besides try to help them save money. Now, I have helped people save money on their internet. I have literally sold somebody Hulu TV and T-Mobile internet to help them save $100 a month and sold them life insurance. That's thinking a little bit crazy outside the box, but I wanted to get that sale. So I helped them literally switch over their TV carrier while they were on the phone with me. Said, hey, you got Dish Network, you're paying $220, Hulu's only $85. You got a smart TV? Yes, you do. Let's go ahead and sign up. All right, you got an appointment with T-Mobile next Tuesday to get their internet. You can cancel. Right, who you currently have. Help them do that. But let's say they have money left over. You want to always, again, you're the expert, so you want to give a suggestion. All right, Miss Jones, so is that everything? Is there anything I'm missing on your monthly bill? This is what I have, and ramble them off. No, I think that's it. Okay, so it looks to me that you have about $300 left over at the end of the month. I always recommend my clients stay between 25 to 33% of what they have left over for a budget for something like this. Everybody see what I did there? I always recommend my clients stay between 25 to 33% of what they have left over to go towards something like this. So you have about $300 left over every month, Miss Jones. The highest I would recommend for a policy would be $100 on the high end, and then I would take 25%, which is $75. If you need to do the math, but it's $75. So 75 between 100, 75 to 100 is where we want to stay. So I can see now why the 120 would be a little bit scary for you. I have another policy that's only $86 a month. This is still going to be enough to cover everything. It falls within our budget, and it still leaves you with $220 left over at the end of the month for odd and inner emergencies that come up. Notice how I did that, guys? Budget breakdown, gave a recommendation, found a plan that fit within budget, and sold it to them. Okay, that is how you do. Let me go over my finances. You go over their finances with them, because obviously with them being on a fixed income for the last 10 years, they haven't went over their own finances. So they obviously need a kick in the butt to do it. Any questions on that?
Is there, I'm writing this down, but is there anything that has these rebuttals, like, for the closing written yet?
No, there's the rebuttals
Okay.
page.
Mhm.
These rebuttals are just stuff that I've come up with that I've just used over the years, that I've kind of like fine-tuned and mastered a little bit. And you'll end up making these your own as well as you start using them more and more often, as you notice the responses that you're getting with your tonality.
Mhm.
A lot of them are in the rebuttals page. Like if you go to rebuttals and you hit
Yeah.
think about it, or you hit talk to the spouse, a lot of these are in there. But there
Uh-huh.
are some one-off ones like the budget breakdown that I covered with
Okay.
you that's not.
I was able to write that one down, and I wrote the other stuff down. It was just, it's a lot of information. So for me,
is.
it's easier for me to learn when I can read it and like apply it to my phone call and like repetitively instead of trying to go off of memory.
Absolutely. So here's the benefits. Let me cover something with you real quick, because that's a great statement. So this training that we're doing right now are more designed for the people that have been here for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and longer. It's not
Okay.
really designed for you and John and all the brand new agents, right?
Uh-huh.
Even though you guys can take tidbits away from this training is not really for you guys, although it's nice for you guys to hear. We probably do a training like this once a week, once every 2 weeks, where we try to break down stuff like this, right? We go over and try to overcome closes and stuff like
Okay.
that. So you will hear this stuff more and more and more often as you've been here a little bit longer, and it'll
Okay.
start to make more and more sense as you notice, like, oh, I have that on my call. That's why I said this. I should have said this, right? So that'll get a little bit better for you.
Okay.
I had somebody real quick, and I know that you just said that this is more advanced for not the brand new people. So last night I had somebody in the middle of the fact finding and stuff like that, threw at me that she couldn't afford insurance. So my response to her was, about the most final expense plans, blah, 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 average about 40, $50 a month. Would that be taking, food off your table? That response. And she said, yep. And as soon as she said that, I didn't know where to go. So would that have been, ending the call right there when she said that? Would that have been an appropriate thing to do when she says that $50 a month would be taking food off of her table?
So I avoid trial closes like that, where it's a price. Right, because no matter what number
Isn't that
you
what?
say there.
Yeah, but that's what's in the rebuttals. I don't have any money. It says, most plans are like 40, $50.
Got you. Okay. So
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. So do me a favor.
Yeah.
When it has budget issues right there, cross
Yeah.
that one out.
Okay.
Okay. So I actually used to do that on a lot of my calls. It worked pretty well, but what I found worked even better, and this is from just really a more of a mindset thing, right there for somebody like that, I would rather continue the call, try to sell them on the features and benefits and the plan and what it does for them, versus on the, hey, if I could find something that was, $40 or $50 and it covered everything, is that something that you could do every month? Because if they say no right there, just like you said, you're kind of dead in the water, right? The only thing you can really do right there is hang up, because, I mean, even our minimum plans are going to be around that price, right?
Right.
So I'll try to avoid that and get them. What I found is most people will spend more money on something that they find value in than what they actually have in their bank, right?
Yeah.
They'll find the money somehow or another. So I would try to go about it like, hey, I understand these products are designed for people that are on fixed incomes every month, like Social Security, disability, even our disabled vets. These are not your real big expensive type plans. These are your smaller yet affordable plans that are permanent and never change. And then I would just kind of move on past that, get into my presentation. And here's the second part of that. As a new agent, you really want all the practice that you can get in that bottom half of the script, right? Because you're doing the top half very often, because that's all you're doing all day is saying, hello, my name is John, right? And you're just getting better and better at that, but you don't have as many opportunities in the second half, right, guys?
Right.
So I want to practice as much as I can. So if I'm in the fact finding and they're at least letting me talk, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot whatsoever. I just want them to give me the opportunity to present to them so I can get used to saying these words out loud in front of a live person and get their reaction and just get a little bit of practice in my presentations.
Okay.
So when I was an agent, I used to have Zach and Justin in my ear when I was an agent. Hey, hang up on this client. They're not going nowhere. Just hang up, move on, hang up, move on. And literally, I used to tell them, like, I'm not hanging up. I used to message them, I'm not hanging up. And they'd be like, dude, you're wasting your time. Why are you not hanging up? And I would say, I want the practice. I don't care if this person's going to buy or not. The only thing I want to get good at right now is saying the words on this page. The sales will come from that. I just want to get good at saying the words on the page and getting used to it and comfortable with it. Because even though this person may not be a buyer, when I get a buyer on the line, I don't want them to be the very first person that I'm like, okay, now this is a whole life policy. What that means is, right, I don't want my first time to be with a buyer. I'd rather it be with a non-buyer. Agreed?
Right, I got you.
Yep. So that was my mindset. I presented to every person that gave me the opportunity to, regardless. I don't care if they had $0 in their name. If they would just listen to me, I'm going to talk.
Right.
So that was the second half of that.
Was that a question?
No, that was a statement. Like, that's the second half of that. Like, that's why I would still continue and try to avoid those sort of trial closes. Now, when you get up to veteran status, like when you're like, okay, I can tell a buyer from a non-buyer pretty quickly, and you realize, okay, hey, there's not enough time in the day. I'm good at the close, but I need to be closing deals like to actual people that are willing to close. Then I would try to move on past those people and say, okay, let me save the extra 20 minutes in this presentation and try to get somebody new on the phone.
Right, I got you.
A new agent.
Yeah, I got what you're saying. I think it's valuable to get the words out. I just didn't know where to go, and I kind of shot myself into, I stopped my own car. My whole problem yesterday, obviously, was I would get I'd get a couple of objections, and by the time I got to the second or third one, the call was done, and there was nothing I could do with it. And, it's just trying to get the beginning parts out yesterday. Frustrating, but
So that leads me to the second half of this training. So this is what we're going to do. If I named your name earlier, and I'll go through it one more time, I need Alla, Ashlyn, Jonathan Baker, Noel, John Lynn, Camrys, Amy, Keaton, Derek, Keisha, Annalise, Donald, Maddie, John Doken, Emily, Claudia, Alicia, and Lourdes. I need all of you guys to go to, let's go to SBC Sales. All right, go to SBC Sales. I'll meet you guys over there in just a second. All right. Now, for everybody that is still here, good morning. We had some valuable training this morning, right? Some good training on how to overcome objections in the close.
Absolutely.
So what I need from you guys is, as I mentioned yesterday or the day before, I forget what day I mentioned it. This week I'm focusing on really the new agents, getting them going, getting them some sales, right? So you may not notice me on the back end of your calls as much. You may not hear me on your calls as much. I may say, hey, I cannot hop on your SBC because I'm trying to keep my lines open for the new agents that are dialing, right? I think that's fair because I would have did the same thing for you when you were a brand new agent. Agreed?
Agreed.
So,
Yep.
what I need from you guys is to utilize what we just trained on, and your job is just to get your sales right, get your talk time, get your activity in for yourself. Okay, that's the benefit of being a vet agent. Of you can do this on your own now. This is what you guys worked hard for to get to this point. So, what I want from you guys is let's go ahead and hit the phones. It is now 9:30. Let's hit the phones. Let's make some money and have a banger day. You guys down with that?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
All right. So on the count of 3, we're gonna get add a comma to my paycheck. So 3, 2, 1. Add a
Add
comma to my
paycheck.
paycheck.
Add a comma to my paycheck. Let's go.